How we doing? We're back. We've got another video. This one's a bit different to normal. There'll be no riding clips, no training clips. Just me kind of sitting here and I guess talking about some things that I've been thinking lately. There's probably going to be no cuts, not much editing going on in this video. It's going to be pretty raw, and me just kind of talking about, like I said, the things that I've been thinking lately. Just in regards to like BMX and all that stuff. I know there's a few of you guys that are a bit younger and stuff, and I don't know, you guys ask questions of what I do for work and all that kind of stuff. So I guess I'm gonna kind of talk about it and the process of how I've gotten to where I am. And I'm only, I was down here working a lot, not being able to put as much priority on my training. Now I'm at a point where I can put a lot more emphasis on my training, but there's still a lot more to go. So I'm not at the top yet. I'm not where I want to be. Obviously I'm very happy with where I am and I feel very accomplished to be where I am right now, but I'm not satisfied and I'm looking to continue on. So if you guys don't know, I do BMX racing at a high level, compete in the international level, 4th in the world at the moment. I think I got 5th overall in the World Cup, in the World Cup series, which is pretty cool. But I'm just going to talk about the process of how I've gotten to where I am now. So I started riding when I was 3, and I guess I just did it for fun and enjoyed it. I was pretty talented with it at a young age and won a lot of races from when I was, probably 5 to maybe probably like 14 or 13, 12. I was pretty strong and pretty dominant, won a world title. And then I guess from there I still won races, but it was just a bit harder to win races because everyone else was, getting stronger and getting faster, and it was harder because there was more people to compete with. But then I guess when I turned 17, or just as I turned 16 or just as I turned 17, COVID hit. And from there it was kind of like, as you turn 17 you get your license, you get a bit of freedom. So I kind of stopped riding a little bit, and I remember there was a race, it was the state titles when I was 18, maybe halfway through the year in 2021, just as kind of COVID was coming to an end. And I remember I was playing a lot of basketball, doing a lot of things that just didn't involve BMX because I was kind of over it, if I'm going to be honest. And then I remember telling my parents, telling them that the States at Ipswich, that was going to be my last race, and once I finished that race I was just going to quit and I was going to stop completely. I was not going to ride my bike anymore, and I was just going to go all in on basketball because I was a massive basketball fan, so I was going to put a lot of effort into basketball and just have a crack at that. And then I remember racing. Obviously it wasn't very good, didn't race very well because I don't think I'd ridden the bike for about 6 months at that point, or done really any training for probably longer than 6 months, but I hadn't really ridden my bike in a lot of months. But then I remember racing, and I don't know if it was the competitiveness. I'm a very competitive person, so I don't know if it was the competitiveness, but I remember doing that race and just something inside of me was like, damn, like, I don't know, maybe this I think this is what I want to pursue. Because in going into it, I had no desire. I was just like doing it just for a last race. I was going to go there, race it, going to call it quits, and I was going to go play basketball and have a crack at just like seeing how far I could go in basketball. And then I remember racing that race, and afterwards I just had this drive, this like fire that I definitely didn't have before. I guess COVID probably fizzled it out. But then after that, I remember, even to this day, that drive, ever since that Ipswich state titles, that drive hasn't left for some reason. I know why. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I love the sport, and I love pursuing my best effort in anything I do. But that drive that I had, that I got from that one race, hasn't really like fizzled away. Like there's, before it I had no desire. I was like, I'm done, I'm going to do this race and finish it. And then I remember finishing that race, and ever since then all I've wanted to do is get better at the sport and get better at BMX, get faster, get stronger. So that is kind of how it started again. I was very committed at a young age, won a lot of races at a young age. Through that 16, 17, 18 years, I basically didn't ride through COVID and stuff, didn't touch my bike, didn't do anything. And then States, supposed to be my last race, ended up being the race that really got my motivation back. And then from there, I was working at Nando's. So I was just working, kind of racing, working. My manager wasn't real good at the time, so there was a couple of races I had to miss out on because I asked for a weekend off to go racing, and she would say no because because other people had already taken time off. So it got to a point where I was like, alright, stuff it, like this Nando's thing isn't working because it's not allowing me to do what I want to do. So I ended up quitting that job. I started doing DoorDash just because it was like that's all I could do. I didn't want to like be locked into anything. I wanted DoorDash, you can do it whenever you want. So I was like, sweet, I'm just going to do DoorDash. And then when I was doing DoorDash for a bit, I ended up getting an opportunity to start some support work. So I did some support work for a couple of years. Similar thing, it was quite flexible. I could kind of choose my own hours, which was really good. And then went from there, started doing some youth work. That was quite tricky because I was doing a lot of trips away. So I was going away for a week, working away for a week, and that was quite hard on training. And it was really tricky because it was mentally draining because you're looking after kids that put a lot of mental load on you, I guess, and made things really difficult. So I did that for a bit. That was really good. And then from there, I ended up working for Limitless Tracks, Scott and Kale Warner, and that was the best job I've had because obviously being in the BMX world, I was able to work for them. They were in the BMX world, so they understood. And Scott was really good with just allowing me to pursue BMXing. Obviously, we worked a lot, did a lot of hours, put a lot of hard work in, but if I needed a week off to go for a race, he would let me do that. But it's just been chasing that full-time athlete, I guess you could say. But it's all a process. Like, it's all been something that I've been pursuing for a long time, trying to become a full-time athlete. And there's been times where, I don't know, it's not easy, like all through those years. Like I still do work and I still do have to do stuff to make money. I don't make my living purely through BMX. There's other things that I have to do. But I'm at a point now where I'm a lot more comfortable not having to have a full-time job to make me money. But in those years through with working with all those things, I remember I'd always tell myself like, oh, you wait until I'm a full-time athlete. Like all the guys that are beating me now, you just wait. Like you wait till I have that opportunity. And now I do have that opportunity in a way, not fully, but in a way I do have that opportunity. But I don't think that mindset was probably the best mindset because I was kind of telling myself I'm waiting for something. I remember I would say that for a little bit, but then towards the later years of working, I remember being like, no, that can't be the mindset I have because that's giving me a reason to why I'm getting beaten, and I don't want to get beaten ever. I want to win everything I enter, which isn't going to happen, but that's always the goal. So I switched that mindset, but I remember listening to a podcast by Nick Bear, the guy who owns BPM, and he was saying you don't have to be an elite athlete to act like an elite athlete. And that kind of resonated with me because at the time I was working full-time, putting a lot of effort in. I was doing a physical job, so waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to gym, then go work all day on a raking jumps, raking turns, whatever, quite physical, and then going to the track in the afternoon or coming home. There was times where I'd be doing sprints out the front of my house at 10 o'clock at night because I just didn't have time to do my sprint session through the day. Probably did gym in the morning, busy day throughout the day, and then I'm at home doing sprints at 10 o'clock at night because, you know, similar mentality is you don't have to be an elite athlete to act like an elite athlete. So I was trying to put, every time I was training like I was an elite athlete. Everything I ate, I was eating like I was an elite athlete. I was trying to sleep like I was an elite athlete. I was trying to think like I was an elite athlete. There was a lot of things that I was trying to do to replicate being an elite athlete. And was it easy? Definitely not. Actually, it was really hard. There's a lot of times where it's like you're physically, mentally just over it, and you've got to. I was I guess, a bit stubborn. There's probably times where I could have taken a rest day and I could have just chilled and done nothing, but I was very stubborn to where if I had it on my program, no matter what was going on in the day, no matter what was happening, I'd be up to do my gym session, to do my sprint session. Whether I had a 10-hour day of work, 12-hour day of work, I'd finish work. If I had sprints to do still because I did gym in the morning and had to work, I'd be coming home no matter what. I'd be out on the road at the sprint spot, doing sprints, getting the reps in. And in hindsight, and from what I've learned now, that's probably wasn't always the smartest idea, but that's just the mentality I had because I was wanting to be an elite athlete. I was acting like an elite athlete, and an elite athlete, they get plenty of rest, so they're able to perform and put a lot of effort into all their training sessions. So I guess my thought was I'm never missing a session because elite athletes don't miss any sessions. Looking back, like I said, probably not the smartest thing to do, but that was the mentality I had at the time. But then I remember towards the end, I got access to QAS. So I don't know if you guys have seen my YouTube videos, but we have really good access with QAS now. In our sessions, we started having regular sessions on a Monday and Friday at Sleeman. And obviously, being in like an elite athlete program, the sessions were at 10 o'clock and all this training was throughout the day. So I remember I had to miss quite a lot of it at the start and I wasn't able to get to those sessions, which I was quite annoyed about. But then I remember talking to my boss, Scott, and I asked him if I could go part-time and just do Monday or do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday work. Obviously take a bit of a pay cut, but just do it. And he was once again very understanding and very happy with that. So then now I was at Mondays and Fridays and I was at those sessions every single week putting effort in, and now I could put all my effort into those sessions and I'll just work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which was really good because that was a step in the right direction. Made that step, which I thought was really good. And then kind of happened naturally, but over some more months, and I was working part-time for some months, training all day Monday, working Tuesdays, training Wednesday, and then I would go to the gym in Wednesday Arvo, on Wednesday Arvo after work, and then work Thursday, and then train all day Friday, which was really good. And then it kind of happened naturally that not too long ago, but only just after Worlds last year, so that was August, in August, I ended up stopping working with Scott and Kale at Limitless Tracks completely, which has been, obviously loved working for them. They were really good and had great times, but my goal has been to become a professional athlete and do this stuff full time. So I ended up buying a car. I'd had a bit of money saved up, so I ended up buying a car. And I ended up doing some like renting the car out. I bought it just to rent out, just as a way of trying to make a little bit of extra money so that I wasn't I didn't need to work, I guess. Had a bit more freedom and flexibility where there was a little bit of money coming into the bank account without needing to actually go to a physical job, which was going to be quite taxing on me. And then I was going to have to go train after working all day and being physically tired. And then I have done quite a lot of coaching for quite a few years. So I just continued my coaching, ended up having quite a few people reach out and being interested in online coaching. So I do some online coaching. And then also just like other things like in BMX, prize money and all that kind of stuff. These are just the ways that I guess make a living now. And I'm not going to say I definitely don't make a lot of money. There's been times recently where I'm looking at my bank account and I'm like, holy, like, what am I actually going to do? I've got $200 in my bank account and I owe my mum, a couple of $1,000 because, stuff goes wrong and expenses come up that you don't expect. And this is me being real here and being honest with you guys, but there was a point, where I had like pretty much no money in the bank. I owed my mum money and all that kind of stuff, and it gets quite scary because it would be easy just to go stuff it. I'm just going to get a job. BMX, you need to take a bit of you need to be on the back burner for a little bit. Like a job needs to take priority right now because I'm not in a position to have no job and just train full time. But I stayed true to it. I trusted the process. I trusted my ability. I trusted all those things. I trusted God to you know, to lay the path for me. I trusted a lot of things, and thankfully now I'm in a much better position. That was a little while ago, and I've worked really hard to try to get myself in a better financial position to where I can be a little bit more comfortable. And you know, I'm in a position now where I'm able to put a lot of time and a lot of effort into my training, into my recovery, into my sleep, into my eating, into everything. And once again, I'm not made of money, I don't have crazy money, but I have enough to just be comfortable. Sometimes I'm not so comfortable, but I have enough money to get by. I have enough money to make do with what I'm doing. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of just making this video just to tell you guys that you're kind of going to have to take risks, and like this is kind of the truth behind what it takes, I guess, and what happens. And I mean, my journey's definitely a lot different to other people's journeys. Your journey might be completely different to mine. You might, you know, have something completely different that you gotta do, and that's totally fine. But this is just me talking about my journey, and I guess the process it's taken me to get to the position that I am in now. And like I said, I've got a lot of room to grow, and I'm working really hard to try and grow and try and get stronger, try to get faster, try to have things set up to where I'm able to make a living comfortably with this, with BMX, you know, whether it's in BMX money or whether it's out of BMX money. I'm trying really hard to, I guess, make a living out of it and make myself comfortable in this sport. I want to be able to go to races and, you know, just be present in those races and not be thinking about the money that's in my bank account and how I'm doing that kind of stuff. But you know, that's the sacrifice I'm willing to take. Is it easy all the time? No. Is it worth it? I think 1000% yes, it is worth it. The things that I've done, what I've been able to achieve, what I've been able to experience, all those things. I feel like if you asked me if I wanted to do it again, I would do it 10 out of 10 times. I'd do it again over and over and over, because this is something that I genuinely have a passion for, and I love just the process of chasing better, I guess, just chasing being a better athlete, being a better person, being a better businessman, being a better whatever you think, whatever you name it, just being better at everything that I pursue. And I encourage you guys that if you're in a similar position that I was, or you're in a similar position to me now, I would definitely recommend you guys to, you know, take the leap. It's not, I feel like you don't get any growth when you're in comfort. And there's been a lot of times over the last year, probably, maybe 6 months, when I've really taken that step. The 6 months where I've stopped working, there's been a lot of uncomfortable times. And, you know, I feel like that's where you grow. I've put myself in a lot of positions where, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I have to make something work now. And, you know, you have to put that effort in, otherwise you're going to have to go get a job. You're going to have to do something like that. So I would say take the leap. If you guys are at work, if you guys are, you know, at school, if you guys are doing all those things, a big thing I would say to do is, a big bit of advice I would say is what I heard from Nick Bare, is you don't have to be an elite athlete to act like one. Okay, so you can there's a lot of things that you can do when you're working, when you're doing this stuff. I hear a lot of people tell me to this day, they'll be like, oh, you know, it's hard when I've got to work. And I'm sitting there like, I know, I did that for 3 years, 2-3 years I was working full time. I would be traveling away, working away for a week, doing all that kind of stuff. And when I was away, I'd be making sure my training was right, my eating was right, my sleep was right. I was doing everything I could do to try and be an elite athlete. And I feel like I still carry that mentality today. So the biggest thing is try and act like an elite athlete. You don't have to be an elite athlete to act like an elite athlete. So show up to your sessions, put the effort in, try to prioritize all the things that an elite athlete will prioritize, and I guarantee if you put the effort in, you'll slowly start to see improvements. And my improvements didn't happen in a month. It happened over the last 3 years. As I said, I was at Nando's, stopped working, got another job that was more flexible, got another job that was more flexible, started working for another person that was really flexible, slowly cut back on that work, put myself in a position to where I was able to live without needing that full-time job. It was while I was working, I was also figuring out those other things to where I'd be able to make enough money to live. And then you slowly work on that process. It could be, for some of you, it could be 5 years. For some of you, it could be 6 months. It's going to be different for everyone. But I'd say take that leap, back yourself, and find comfort in the uncomfortable times. Because if you're doing BMX or you're doing any endeavor, you're going to need to be comfortable in uncomfortable positions, because I've experienced a lot of uncomfortable positions and a lot of things where I'm like, holy, this isn't nice. I think it would be really nice just to have a 9-to-5 job, make decent money, not have to spend $30,000 in a year, $40,000 in a year going to races. I think it'd be really nice if I just was, not racing. If I was just, had a job, live like a normal person. There'd be times when it got tough where I'd be like, man, it'd be nice just be a regular person who just had a job and went home and chilled out. I think that'd be really nice, but I never did that because I actually didn't want that. That's just me being tired, me being sore, me being overwhelmed, and then you start thinking of the easy way out, but never give yourself the easier way out. Always pursue greatness. That's my goal, just pursuing greatness, pursuing my best self, and I'm going to continue to do that until the day I die, probably, because that's just the kind of person I am. Everything I do, I want to be the best at. Probably my competitive nature, but I'm going to continue that because I believe that is a great way to live life, in my opinion. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Very raw, uncut, and yeah, pursue greatness, baby.